This palace wasn't destroyed by fire or war or scandal. It was destroyed by arithmetic. On Long Island's North Shore, where the cliffs drop into the cold blue of the Sound, there once stood a mansion so vast it felt less like a home and more like a challenge to history itself. Its name was Harbor Hill, and for a brief moment it ruled New York's Gold Coast like a private kingdom. 648 acres, nearly 200 rooms, a French château so massive that it could be seen from miles away, its towers rising above manicured gardens, stables, and carriage roads carved into the hills of Roslyn Harbor. At the turn of the 20th century, this was not excess, it was ambition. The man behind it was Clarence Mackay, heir to a telecommunications empire built on undersea cables and global telegraph lines. Money was not the obstacle, imagination was. So Mackay hired Stanford White, the most celebrated architect of America's Gilded Age, to build something that would rival the palaces of Europe themselves. Construction began in 1999. For 3 years, thousands of craftsmen worked stone by stone, importing materials, carving details by hand, and assembling a fantasy of French aristocracy on American soil. When it was finished in 1902, Harbor Hill was among the largest private homes ever built in the United States. Inside were ballrooms, galleries, servants' corridors hidden behind walls, and rooms so rarely used they existed mostly to prove they could. Outside stretched formal gardens, riding paths, and open land measured not in yards, but horizons. Harbor Hill wasn't just a mansion, it was a declaration. This family intends to last forever. But history doesn't care about declarations. The real story of Harbor Hill doesn't begin with its birth. It begins with the moment its scale turned against it. By the 20th century, America was changing. The Gilded Age was over. The servants were fewer. The taxes were higher. The idea of maintaining a palace staffed like a small town was already starting to feel outdated. Then came 1938. Clarence Mackay died inside Harbor Hill itself, the very house meant to preserve his legacy. But by then, the numbers were brutal. The estate was enormous, the upkeep staggering, and the income tied up in assets that didn't pour easily into cash. The mansion survived him, but barely. When World War II arrived, it finished what economics had started. In 1942, Clarence's widow, Catherine Mackay, made a quiet, devastating decision. Most of Harbor Hill was closed. Entire wings were sealed off. Staff was reduced to a skeleton crew. Fires went out in unused rooms. Curtains were drawn and never opened again. A building designed to breathe with human presence began to suffocate. Water pipes froze. Plaster cracked. Roofs leaked unnoticed. The palace didn't collapse. It rotted slowly and silently from the inside. When Catherine died in 1949, the heirs didn't inherit a treasure. They inherited a trap. Estate taxes loomed. Liquid cash was scarce. And in post-war America, an era of suburbs, modest homes, and practical living, no one wanted a 200-room château that consumed money just by existing. In 1950, the contents were auctioned off. Furniture that once hosted royalty and titans of industry scattered to strangers. Paintings vanished into private collections. The soul of the house was dismantled piece by piece. Then the building was left alone, and that's when the humiliation began. With no preservation laws to protect it, Harbor Hill became a target. Vandals broke windows. Fixtures were ripped out. Anything valuable was stripped away, sometimes legally, sometimes not. It was as if the mansion was being looted before it was even declared dead. The end came quietly and efficiently. In the spring of 1953, demolition crews arrived, not to destroy in anger, but to salvage. Stone was removed. Materials were sold. What could make money was taken first. By August 1953, Harbor Hill, one of the grandest private palaces ever built in America, was completely gone. Not burned, not ruined by war, just erased. And here's the twist that hurts the most. The land didn't become a park, or a museum, or a protected historic site. It became Harbor Hills, a suburban development. Streets curved through what were once formal gardens. Driveways crossed former carriage paths. By 1954, houses began to rise where ballrooms and towers once dominated the skyline. Children played where chandeliers once hung. What was built to look immortal vanished in months. Harbor Hill proved a hard truth about the Gilded Age. Greatness without guardianship doesn't survive. No matter how beautiful, no matter how expensive, no matter how powerful the name attached to it, because history doesn't preserve monuments. People do. And when no one is willing or able to pay the price, even a palace disappears.